hands, everyone wants to stand. I roll in my Jag, fast like the wind. Everybody's on the board, room to the streets. I'm the man with the plan. Got the world in my hands, every woman wants to stand. I roll in my Jag, fast like the wind. Every mission I take, you know I'm gonna win. Ladies on my left, danger on the right, but it's love and respect that I'm bringing to the fight.
I'm the dad with the 9 lives, playing the game. A heart full of fire, can't be tamed. In the shadows I roam, but I shine so bright. With every step I take, I'm doing it right.
Got my eyes on the prize, but my heart's in the beat. J-Cat's on the mic, bringing heat to the street. When it comes to the ladies, I'm smooth like silk, but don't get it twisted. I'm the man with the milk. For every tear that falls, I'm the hand to hold. In this world of chaos, I'm the story untold. With every breath I take, every move I make, I'm writing my name in the history is fate.
I'm the dad with the 9 lives, playing the game.
Welcome to the adventures of J-Cat, where thrills meet tenderness in a captivating blend of sexy, excitement and romance. Hosted by the adventurous Jay Bahari, this hip podcast invites listeners to embark on exhilarating journeys filled with captivating stories and heartfelt moments. Each episode explores the intriguing intersections of adventure and love, transporting you to breathtaking romance and inspiring tales that will leave you yearning for your own escapades. Whether you're a seasoned traveler, a hopeless romantic, or simply someone who appreciates a great story, J-Cat Adventures promises a delightful escape into the extraordinary, sparking your imagination and igniting your wanderlust. Tune in and let the adventures begin.
In the shadows I roam, but I shine so bright. With every step I take, I'm doing it right.
My hands, everyone wants to stand. I roll in my Jag, fast like the wind. Everybody's on the board, room to the streets. I'm the man with the plan.
Discover the magic of J-Cat Adventures. Immerse yourself in the captivating world of J-Cat. Get ready for a thrilling ride, filled with romance, suspense, and crime. All served with a side of classic drama. Every week, a new episode of J-Cat the Fearless. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. If you're a fan of the suave and sophisticated James Bond, you'll be hooked on J-Cat's adventures. Join the excitement by subscribe to the Jay Bahari podcast for a weekly dose of action-packed entertainment. I am your host, Jay Bahari. Let's go. J-Cat, Irresistible Intrigue. The night was sultry, with the air thick from the tropical humidity. Moonlight bathed the coastal city in a silver glow as J-Cat pulled up in his sleek Jaguar XJ220. He moved with the effortless grace of a man who knew he commanded attention. Tonight, his mission wasn't just about survival or revenge, it was about intrigue, the kind that kept him on edge, chasing a thrill that was as dangerous as it was irresistible. He wasn't expecting her. Pam was an enigma, a stunning woman with long, flowing hair the color of midnight and eyes that seemed to shimmer with secrets. She exuded a sultry allure that set her apart from every other woman J-Cat had encountered. There was something about her, the way she carried herself, her low, smoky laugh, that captivated him. And J-Cat wasn't a man easily captivated. As he entered the grand villa overlooking the ocean, he spotted her across the room. Pam was dressed in a striking red gown that clung to every curve, the fabric whispering against her skin as she moved with a feline grace. Their eyes met, and in that instant, the atmosphere shifted, intense, electric, like the calm before a storm. Pam walked over slowly, her hips swaying seductively, her eyes locked on J-Cat's. She held his gaze, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. There was a chemistry between them that crackled like wildfire, dangerous yet utterly magnetic. J-Cat, she purred, her voice like velvet. I've heard so much about you. He smirked, his eyes roaming over her. I'd say the same, but I prefer to get to know someone in person. Pam tilted her head, her eyes never leaving his as she closed the distance between them. Careful what you wish for, she whispered, her breath warm against his ear. You might find more than you bargained for. Their conversation danced on the edge of flirtation, veiled in mystery. Every word was laced with double meanings, every glance heavy with promise. Pam was unlike anyone J-Cat had ever met. She wasn't just beautiful, she was dangerous, and it only intrigued him more. Later, they slipped away from the party, out into the warm night air. The moon hung low over the water as Pam led him to a secluded terrace, the ocean waves crashing softly below. She turned to face him, her eyes dark with desire. There was no need for words, the heat between them was palpable. J-Cat reached for her, his hands sliding around her waist, pulling her close. Pam's breath hitched as their bodies pressed together, the cool night breeze doing nothing to extinguish the fire building between them. Her fingers trailed up his chest, teasing, exploring, until they tangled in his hair, pulling him down to her waiting lips. The kiss was everything, intense, passionate, filled with a hunger that had been simmering between them since they first laid eyes on each other. Pam melted into J-Cat, her body molding perfectly against his as the kiss deepened. There was no pretense now, no more games. There were two forces drawn together by an irresistible attraction, caught in a moment of pure, unfiltered desire. J-Cat's hand slid lower, caressing her curves, while Pam's fingers traced the hard lines of his jaw before moving down to the muscular plane of his chest. Their kiss broke only for a moment, enough for them to catch their breath, eyes locked in a heated gaze that spoke of all the unspoken promises lingering between them. Pam smiled, a slow, sultry smile that made J-Cat's heart race. "You're dangerous, J-Cat," she murmured, her lips brushing against his as she spoke. "But I like that." J-Cat's hands tightened around her waist, pulling her even closer, his voice low and rough with desire. "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." She laughed softly, a sound that sent shivers down his spine. "Maybe I do. Maybe I'm exactly what you need." They kissed again, deeper this time, their passion spiraling out of control. J-Cat's hands roamed freely over her body, exploring every inch of her, while Pam responded with equal fervor, her body pressing eagerly into his. The terrace faded into the background, the sound of the ocean lost to the fire between them. As the night wore on, the world outside ceased to exist. There was only Pam, her soft skin against his, her breathless whispers in his ear, and the heat of their bodies entwined under the moonlit sky. J-Cat, always in control, found himself losing himself in her completely, surrendering to the intoxicating allure of Pam and the irresistible intrigue she brought into his life. This was a game of power, passion, and seduction, and J-Cat was ready to play. But he knew, deep down, that with Pam, things would never be simple. She was a puzzle he couldn't solve, a mystery he was desperate to unravel, even if it meant losing himself in the process. As dawn broke on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, J-Cat held Pam close, knowing that this was only the beginning. Pam had pulled him into her world of intrigue and danger, and there was no turning back. For J-Cat, the thrill of the chase was never about the end, it was about the passion, the danger, and the intoxicating allure of the unknown. And Pam, with her secrets and seductions, was the perfect mystery to explore. As the sun climbed higher, its golden light spilling over the villa's terrace, the heat between them simmered into something deeper. Pam lay draped against J-Cat, her bare skin warm against his. Their night of passion had left them both breathless, but the intensity between them hadn't waned, it lingered like the embers of a fire, ready to ignite again. Pam traced lazy circles on his chest, her nails lightly grazing his skin as she let out a satisfied sigh. "You're even more irresistible than I imagined," she whispered, her voice husky from the night they'd shared. She looked up at him, her eyes gleaming with something unreadable, something more than just lust. J-Cat, always in control, felt something shift inside him. Pam wasn't just another woman, she was a force of nature, and something about her called to the part of him that he tried to keep buried. He wasn't a man who got attached. In his line of work, attachments were liabilities. But Pam had slipped past his defenses, igniting a desire that went beyond the physical. "Careful," he murmured, his fingers trailing up her spine. "You're starting to sound like you've already figured me out." Pam smiled, but there was a flicker of something darker in her expression. She pulled back slightly, sitting up, her long hair cascading over her shoulders as she gazed out at the ocean. "Figuring you out?" "Oh no, J-Cat," she said, her tone teasing but with an edge. "You're much more complicated than that." J-Cat watched her, a frown tugging at his lips. Pam wasn't just a beautiful distraction, she was sharp, calculating. He could sense it. Every word she said seemed to carry layers of meaning, like she was playing a game he wasn't fully aware of yet. And that both intrigued and unsettled him. "What are you really after, Pam?" His voice was low, but there was a warning in his tone. He wasn't a man to be toyed with, and he needed to know where she stood. Pam turned to face him again, her eyes softening, but that same mysterious smile playing on her lips. She leaned in, her fingers brushing his jaw as she spoke. "Maybe I'm after the same thing as you, J-Cat. Thrill. Danger. A taste of something real in a world full of lies." Her words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. J-Cat's instincts told him there was more to her than she was letting on. He'd met women like Pam before, beautiful, alluring, but always hiding something. She had secrets, that much was clear. But in this moment, with her so close, her lips tantalizingly near his, he found himself wanting to forget about the danger, about the questions swirling in his mind. He wanted her again. All of her. But just as he was about to pull her in for another kiss, Pam's phone buzzed on the nightstand. She tensed, her body going rigid as she glanced at the screen. J-Cat noticed the flicker of worry in her eyes before she masked it with a calm smile. She slipped out of bed, grabbing the phone and pacing toward the terrace doors. He watched her, his senses on high alert now. Pam answered the call in a low voice, her back to him as she spoke quickly, in a language he didn't recognize. She was good, too good. But J-Cat had spent years learning how to read people, and Pam's body language told him everything he needed to know. Something was wrong. And whatever it was connected to her. After a few moments, she hung up and turned back to him, her expression cool, collected. "Sorry about that," she said, slipping back into her seductive smile as if nothing had happened. "Business." J-Cat sat up, watching her closely. "Business? What kind of business are you in, Pam?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Let's just say I'm involved in things that keep life interesting." He stood, crossing the room to her, towering over her as he looked down into her eyes. "I don't like surprises. If there's something I need to know, now's the time to tell me." Pam's gaze flickered, and for the first time, J-Cat saw the faintest crack in her facade. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words never came. A loud crash shattered the calm morning air as the glass doors behind them exploded inward. Instinctively, J-Cat grabbed Pam, pulling her down behind the bed as bullets rained through the room, peppering the walls with holes. "Stay down," he ordered, his voice firm as he reached for the pistol he kept concealed beneath his jacket. Pam clung to him, her breath coming in shallow gasps, but her eyes were wild, full of adrenaline and something else, fear. For the first time, J-Cat saw her vulnerable, the mask of seduction slipping away to reveal the truth. She wasn't just an enigma. She was in danger. Real danger. When the gunfire ceased, J-Cat peeked over the edge of the bed, his gun ready. The room was destroyed, but the attackers were gone. For now. He turned to Pam, his eyes dark and questioning. "What the hell is going on, Pam?" She swallowed hard, her chest rising and falling as she caught her breath. "I didn't want to drag you into this, J-Cat," she whispered, her voice trembling now. "But I don't have a choice. They're after me. And now, they'll be after you too." J-Cat's jaw clenched. He had known there was more to her story, but he hadn't expected this. He grabbed her by the shoulders, forcing her to look into his eyes. "Who's after you? What did you get involved in?" Pam's eyes glistened with fear and regret. "The syndicate," she whispered. "I was working with them. Until I tried to leave. Now they want me dead. And anyone close to me." J-Cat cursed under his breath. The syndicate was one of the most powerful and dangerous criminal organizations in the world. If they were after Pam, she was as good as dead. And now, because of her, so was he. But despite the danger, despite the lies, J-Cat couldn't walk away. Not now. Not after everything that had happened between them. He pulled her close, his voice low but firm. "I'm not letting them take you. We'll figure this out. Together." Pam looked up at him, her eyes wide with surprise and something else, hope. She nodded slowly, her fingers clutching his shirt. "I don't deserve your help," she whispered. J-Cat smirked, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Maybe not. But you got it anyway." They shared a brief, heated kiss before J-Cat stood, pulling Pam to her feet. "Get dressed," he said, his tone all business now. "We're leaving. I know a place we can lay low." As Pam hurried to gather her things, J-Cat's mind raced. This was no longer just about the thrill of the chase or the seduction of a beautiful woman. Now, it was about survival. And J-Cat had never backed down from a fight. Not when it mattered. And with Pam, it definitely mattered. Weeks had passed since that deadly encounter, but the danger still hung in the air like the fading scent of gunpowder. J-Cat had whisked Pam away to a safe house hidden deep in the mountains, where the syndicate couldn't reach them. They had spent every moment together, planning their next move, dodging the syndicate's relentless pursuit, and growing closer than either of them had anticipated. But in the quiet moments, when the adrenaline had faded and it was just the two of them under the stars, J-Cat had come to a realization. Pam wasn't just another woman in need of saving. She was a fighter, a survivor. And while their connection had been electric, powerful, and deeply passionate, he knew it couldn't last. One evening, as they sat by the fire, the crackling flames illuminating Pam's face, J-Cat turned to her. He could see the weariness in her eyes, the weight of all they'd been through, but also the spark that had first drawn him to her. She looked up at him, sensing that something had shifted between them. "J-Cat?" she asked softly, her voice carrying a hint of uncertainty. He sighed, running a hand through his hair before taking her hand in his. "Pam, you're safe now. The syndicate's been dismantled. The people hunting you are gone." His voice was low, steady, but filled with a weight that she couldn't ignore. "We made it." Pam nodded, her lips curving into a small, relieved smile. "Thanks to you," she whispered. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. "You saved me, J-Cat. I'll never forget that." He tightened his grip on her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin against his, but he couldn't ignore the truth any longer. "You didn't need me to save you," he said after a long pause. "You're stronger than you give yourself credit for." Pam looked up at him, her brows furrowing in confusion. "What are you saying?" J-Cat exhaled slowly, choosing his words carefully. "We've been through hell together, Pam. But this, whatever this is between us, it can't last." He saw the flash of hurt in her eyes, but he pressed on. "You have your own life to rebuild. You're free now. You don't need me to be your protector anymore." Pam sat up, pulling away slightly, her eyes searching his face for answers. I thought we were in this together." J-Cat shook his head gently. "We were. But now, you have the chance to live the life you've always wanted. You can start fresh. And I." His voice trailed off as he looked away, the fire reflecting in his eyes. "I need to move on. This is who I am, Pam. I don't stay. I'm always moving, always chasing the next mission." Pam's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded, understanding in her gaze. She knew deep down that J-Cat was never meant to stay in one place for long. He was a man forged by danger, by the thrill of the chase. And while their time together had been real, intense and beautiful, he wasn't hers to keep. "I'll never forget you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. J-Cat smiled softly, brushing a tear from her cheek. "You'll do great things, Pam. You're stronger than you know." He leaned in and kissed her, one last time, a slow, lingering kiss filled with everything they hadn't said, all the emotions that words could never fully express. When they pulled away, J-Cat stood, slipping on his leather jacket. He turned to Pam one last time, his expression gentle but resolute. "Take care of yourself, Pam. You've got a second chance, don't waste it." Pam watched him, her heart breaking but knowing this was right. She stood as well, her voice barely above a whisper. "Goodbye, J-Cat." With one final nod, J-Cat turned and walked into the night, his silhouette fading into the darkness, as silent and mysterious as ever. The weight of their parting hung in the air, but there was also a sense of peace, a knowing that this was the way it had to be. Months later, J-Cat found himself on the open road again, the familiar rumble of his Jaguar beneath him. The coastal wind whipped through his hair as the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. He had moved on, as he always did, chasing the next mission, the next challenge. But as he drove, a small smile tugged at his lips. His thoughts drifted back to Pam, the woman who had brought both chaos and clarity into his life. She was free now, living the life she deserved, and for that, J-Cat felt a sense of satisfaction. The road stretched ahead of him, endless and full of possibilities. And J-Cat knew that no matter where it led, he would keep moving forward, always chasing the next thrill, the next intrigue. But this time, with a little less darkness in his heart and the memory of Pam's warmth to guide him. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, J-Cat pressed the pedal to the floor, his Jaguar speeding into the night, ready for whatever adventure awaited him next. Because for J-Cat, the only constant in life was the thrill of the unknown, and he wouldn't have it any other way. And that's a wrap on another thrilling episode of J-Cat Adventures. I hope you've been on the edge of your seat, caught up in the mystery, excitement, and danger that always follows J-Cat wherever he goes. From heart-pounding action to deep emotional connections, J-Cat's world never fails to surprise. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe or click the follow button so you never miss out on the next big adventure. Whether you're into romance, suspense, or mind-bending mysteries, there's always something more coming. And don't be shy, reach out. You can audio call or audio text chat with me directly. I'd love to know what you want to see next in JCat's world or hear your thoughts on today's episode. Want to dive deeper? Explore more of JCat's thrilling escapades by grabbing an ebook at www.jcatadventures.com or head over to Amazon for paperbacks and hard copies. Trust me, you'll want to have JCat's latest adventure right in your hands. And remember, the podcast continues across your favorite platforms: iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Wherever you go, JCat is right there, ready to bring you into his world of suspense, romance, and non-stop action. But it doesn't end here. This journey is just the beginning. Stay tuned for the next episode, where JCat takes on new challenges, faces dangerous foes, and maybe even finds love in unexpected places. Until next time, keep that spirit of adventure burning bright. The world is filled with endless possibilities, and JCat is proof that no mystery is too big to solve. Remember, adventure is thrilling, but the heart's deepest desires are the greatest mysteries of all. Keep chasing passion, stay fearless, and never let love slip through your fingers. This is Jay Bahari, signing off. Stay curious, stay bold, and always keep exploring, because the next chapter of JCat Adventures is just around the corner.
Fast like the wind, every mission he take, you know he's gonna win. Ladies on his left, danger on the right. What is love and respect that he's bringing to the fight? He's the captain with the 9 lives, playing the game. A heart full of fire can't be tamed. In the shadows he roams, but he shines so bright. With every step he takes, he's doing it right. He's JCat, the mirror rings in every city. Slick with the moves, ain't nothing here pretty. From the boardroom to the streets, he's the man with the plan. Got the world in my hands, every woman wants to stand. He rolling, he's Jack, fast like the wind. Every mission he take, you know he's gonna win. Ladies on his left, danger on the right. But it's love and respect that he's bringing to the fight. He's the cat with the 9 lives, playing the game. A heart full of fire can't be tamed. In the shadows he roams, but he shines so bright. With every step he takes, he's doing it right. He's JCat, the name that rings in every city. Slick with the moves, ain't nothing here pretty. Harry is so kind. In the realm of love, the connections bind. Day out by your side, a symphony unfurls, spreading love across the digital world. Jay Bahari in the cyber sea, a love captain setting the spirits free. With AI whispers, like a gentle dove, he's on a quest to spread love. In the language of compassion, he decodes old school soul in a digital age. Jay Bahari's love